in the offseason, anytime teams have contract issues or players that are holding out or wondering if they're going to get a deal or not, I'm always concerned about those teams. And through 3 weeks, those teams, the Cowboys, the Bengals, and the 49ers, Brandon Aiyuk, Ceedee Lamb, Jamarr Chase. I know Chase had an unbelievable game last night, but when you're not all in during training camp and preparing for the season and you hit the ground running, it just raises questions. And so those 3 teams, they have the talent to turn it around, no question. But they've gotten off to such a bad start, and things can quickly unravel. I think especially in Dallas, as we know. You could turn on any other show. I'm sure they're talking about the Cowboys, so I won't do it because everybody else is. But they're in trouble. There's serious concerns there. And then, like I said, with the 49ers, I just think the injuries, Aiyuk he's not playing that great. I mean, Juwan Jennings was the star for them, which was unbelievable. Again, we'll talk more about that from a fantasy perspective on the fantasy podcast. But those 3 teams, you got to get your guys paid and get them into camp and get them clicking with the quarterbacks. I think that's an issue because Ceedee Lamb's not playing to the level that we've seen him play at. And I got to point to, hey, you got to be there. You got to be locked in. Can't be worried about the contracts. It's a problem. So, all right. Now let's talk about these teams that came into week 3. They were 0-2, and they needed a spark. They needed their offense to start clicking. They needed their defense to really give them a boost. And it was pretty wild. 6 teams got their first win of the season on Sunday. And so we saw the Colts. They beat the Bears in really an ugly game. The Bears actually, they looked okay at times because Rome Odunze played well. Caleb Williams looked a little bit better. They can't really run the ball. But the spark that the Colts got was from Jonathan Taylor. This is who they rely on. He can run the ball. He 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. He gave them the spark they needed. Now, they've got some questions with Anthony Richardson at the quarterback position, and their passing game, not very good. But the spark they needed, Jonathan Taylor. Speaking of running the ball well, we know the Ravens want to run the ball well. And I was not panicking about them after 2 weeks. I thought, hey, they're fine. They're right in the mix. And then they came out and said, hey, we will run all over you, Dallas. Derrick Henry, oh yeah, he's still got a little bit left in the tank. He was the spark they needed. He ran for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. The team rushed for 274 yards. This Ravens team, they are going to be tough. I know they, a little bit of a slow start, but they're fine. They lost to the Chiefs and that weird Raiders game. But the Ravens do have this issue where in the fourth quarter they give up leads. So even Dallas made it interesting at the end there. But good for the Ravens. Derrick Henry was their spark that they needed.